welcome to the Creatives Get Real podcast. I'm Roben-Marie Smith.
And I'm Sandi Keene, and these are real conversations about the creative life. Hello, Roben-Marie.
Hey, how are you? Welcome to season 2, episode 2.
I know.
It's kind of funny. It's 2020. Yeah.
It's the time of the twos.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's 2 of us.
I know.
That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Okay, this is an episode that I think there are a lot of people who, need to hear this.
Yeah. I agree. I need to hear this.
So today we're going to talk about a motivation, dedication, scheduling for the entrepreneur. And this definitely relates to hobbyists as well.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, if you're in a challenge or if you've made a commitment to yourself that you're going to do art every day, how do you keep showing up when, let's say that it's chilly outside, and it's actually been a little chilly here in Florida.
It has been.
But it's a little chilly outside, and you're in that warm bed, and for me, you've got that weighted blanket pulled up on you. I love weighted blankets, the best thing in the world.
Sounds like a nightmare to me. No thanks.
Anyways, you're all snugly in bed, and you're thinking, yeah, I'm supposed to be up doing a challenge or whatever.
Right.
How do you motivate yourself and stay on track?
Yep. Yeah, and especially in January, I think it's a time where we do kind of think about this topic. You know, we think about, obviously last week we talked about goals and resolutions and focus, but, motivation. And this is hitting home for me right now because I don't know if it's just coming off a very busy December and the holidays. And we only had 3 weeks between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So it was really fast.
It was.
And we had a lot of company between Thanksgiving and New Year's. And I'm just tired. I'm kind of feeling a little weary, but I've got commitments. I've got things that I've said I'm going to do these things. Some things are self-imposed and I could just chunk them. Or there's others though that I have to show up and I have to do the work.
People counting on you.
Exactly. And so, it is hard. So it's figuring out that balance between, I still need to make sure I take care of myself.
Right.
Or I can't show up. But then also, how do I create a structure or a framework where I can manage what I've said I was going to do.
Right.
So, yeah.
And I'll just mention that both of us right now are in a position where we're doing some sort of caregiving as well.
Yes, we are.
So, that can be really draining as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Especially when it's unexpected because it's not like you can plan for, there's just things you cannot plan for.
Right. Things happen.
That's right.
And then all of a sudden you're thrust into a role you weren't. You're like, where on my schedule was that? Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
wasn't.
Mine, I have Thursday. I was going to start doing some filming. I have to mow the grass on Thursday. That's my husband's job. He can't do it right now.
Right.
He's recovering from surgery. So I'm like, I have to mow the grass. I don't think I've mowed the grass since 1998, maybe 1999.
I know, that's when you want to pull the girl card.
I know.
We're women. We can do anything, but I don't want to do this one. This is a boy job.
I know. I'm not really excited about that. But the heat wave is coming back this weekend. I think on Thursday or Friday or Saturday. So I'm like, I guess Thursday will be a good day to mow the grass. So anyway, yes, those things that are kind of added into the schedule that you weren't expecting.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a Florida thing because I think we're probably one of the only
states. You're right.
Everybody else is under 3 feet of snow going, what is she talking about?
They're going, wait a minute, what do you mean mow the grass? Yeah, we still have to mow the grass here about once a week, maybe once every 7 to 8 days in Florida in the winter.
Right.
Unlike in the summer where it's every other day. But
it's a year-round job.
That's exactly right. Good point. I didn't even think about that. Oh, wait a minute, it's snowing outside. What are you talking about, mowing the grass?
You're shoveling, we're mowing. And sprinkling and watering and cleaning our pools.
That's right.
It's weird.
It is weird. It's backwards.
It's very odd. Yeah, that's what we do over Christmas.
Yeah.
We mow the lawn.
Yeah. We can go to the beach though, which is kind of cool.
That is true. Yeah, and I don't even own long underwear anymore. I did when I lived in New York, but I don't now.
No, we don't need them.
Yeah, I'm hard pressed to find a pair of pants that comes below my calf. I mean,
true that.
It's like, do you have any long pants? I don't. Maybe.
That's why when I travel to my sister's, because she lives in Tennessee, I have my coat up there, and there's other clothing that why am I even taking this home? I'll just leave it here, so when I visit you, I have it. So
right, Yep. Same for me with North Carolina.
See, we're resisting this whole topic, just like when we want to read.
We're unmotivated to talk about it. No, I think it's really important. So let's talk about, how do you maintain discipline or structure in your art life or your art business when you are the person in charge or you are the boss?
Yeah,
that's a lot. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about what works. Let's talk about what doesn't work.
Yeah, and this is a good one to start with, because I think at times people who see from the outside someone who works their own business or works at home, I mean, there's lots of perceptions, but it's sort of like, well, you have all this time, and it should be really easy to manage, and get things done. And in a sense it is, because you get to make those decisions. But I think at times it's hard because there are a lot of distractions too. If I went to an office every day and I was focused on that's what I'm there to do, then, I'd go and get it done. But at home it's like, oh, I still have one more episode of Virgin River to watch. And, it's so nice outside. I think I'm going to go read. Or, the bubble bath is calling me. Whatever that looks like. And so you kind of get distracted. And
there's a lack of routine. When you go to a job and you're in an office, there's a routine there.
Yep.
A structure that's already built in. And when you're working on your own, you have to create that for yourself.
That's
or
right.
You struggle with the fact that you haven't created that for yourself.
Exactly.
Because that's hard.
Yep.
So let's talk about some of the things that work. I'm a list girl. So lists help me. Not only do they get things out of my head where they tend to get lost forever, and put them on paper so I can see them, which helps me as a visual learner. I need to see it. And then you have, for me, the grand and great joy of crossing things off. That person that will write things on their list so they can cross it off. Yeah, that'd be me.
You must have a really long list, but you feel so fulfilled at the end of the day.
I think I've just been mocked.
No. I love you.
I know you do, and yes, it's true.
I do think it's funny though that people do that. I'm not one of those people, but I think it's hilarious, or you've done it and then you write it on the list and then you mark it off.
Yeah. So that's how you get the sense of accomplishment. Is not doing the task; it's crossing it off the list. That's the goal. I know, different personalities.
Oh,
we
absolutely.
Talked about this. And the next thing it would be routine. Can you develop some sort of routine in your life that will help you set up some sort of structure within your day? It doesn't have to be one that feels limiting.
Right.
There can be room for spontaneity, but you do have to have some sort of structure.
Yeah, I struggle with that. I'm not good with that. I mean, I just have to admit it. I've listened to the professionals and the gurus, and I'll set out with a plan and be like, okay, on Mondays I'm going to work in the studio for an hour or two, and then on Tuesdays I'm going to do all my emails and answer emails and write whatever, and then Wednesday I'll write blog posts, and I make it maybe a day, and I think, I don't want to do that today. I want to do this today. I like too much freedom, I think, to decide on that day. But that really does cause me problems. It does, because then it's sort of like, I feel very scattered sometimes where I'm just sort of like, but that's maybe the ADD part, where it's like, I'm going to work on that for an hour. And then I'm like, I think I'm going to go do that. But it somehow works for me. I get stuff done. But I think too, and one thing that struck me when you were talking about this and starting the conversation about this, is that I think there's the saying is the first things first, is if I can just say, all right, this is the one thing today that has to get done, then the rest is okay. Whatever you end up doing. And that tends to work for me. But I do write stuff down. I just do mine a little differently. I do like lists, but I don't do a daily list where I cross things off. I pretty much just stick it in the Trello board. And we've talked about this on past episodes, where it's dated and I don't have to deal with it until it's time. And that way it's out of my head, like you said, get it out of your head because you might forget. But I also like the idea of being able to put details to it too, where I can just pop in and write something down if I think of it later that I need to apply to that project or whatever it is. But I mean, I don't put everything in the Trello board. I mean, but it's projects or things, deadlines, things I've signed up for, that I've committed to doing. But that has really helped me over the last, I don't know how long I've been using Trello, maybe 3 years, something like that. And it's made a huge difference for me. But I still find myself slipping back into those old ways of, all right, I'm going to get up today. What do I feel like doing? And it doesn't always work, but it just, that's kind of how I do it. Kind of willy-nilly about it. But yeah.
But you fight structure. So why would you try to put yourself in structure? I mean, you find that kind of structure jail-like.
Yeah.
So it'd be like, being punished. Like, I must have been bad.
Exactly.
Because now I have to do this. So that doesn't work for you.
Yeah. I have to find a kind of a happy medium. And sometimes I'm on one end, and then other times I'm way on the other end. And then sometimes it's kind of working. But yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. And being your own boss, and working at home for yourself or setting those parameters can be difficult, especially when there's other things that impact that. We don't have children at home, and I don't have children, but there are those of you out there who do. And so their schedule will dictate how you manage yours. Spouses, all kinds of things can impact your schedule and how that works for you. But yeah, I think if I just focus on today's one big focus or goal is XYZ, and I get that done, then the rest is, okay, what on this list here in Trello do I feel like doing today? And then I just do it.
I think that's a really
and that
good
works
approach.
for me. Yeah.
Yeah, you knock off the big one. Got to do it because it's on your mind anyways.
True.
Even if you're trying to not do it, it's on your mind.
That's right. That's true.
So get that done and then figure out, what do I feel like? Especially when you're talking about creative endeavors where you have to have your mojo to do stuff.
Right. Yeah.
When you're just really not feeling it, whatever you make is going to be crap.
That's right.
So why would you force yourself?
And by kind of having that mindset, it sort of frees up a lot of time each day, at least from the way I work, to go, okay, the main thing's done. What do I feel like today? Wow, I got this great idea. I'm motivated. I'm going to tackle that because I'm feeling it today.
Right.
But I've given myself enough time that when the day happens or the day hits, I'm like, yeah, I'm blocking this off. I'm going to go do this now. And then it feels right for me.
Right.
Yeah. But to say each day I'm blocking off all this time to do this and this and this and this, you're right. It does feel like jail.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
So I think what we're saying here is that even though there are people that have these great ideas that work for people like them, that doesn't necessarily fit you.
Right. You just have to try things to figure out what does work for you.
Right.
And don't fight it. Because I've gotten frustrated with that, going, okay, well, it works for them and they're productive. Why can't it work for me? Because I'm not them.
Yeah. Different personality.
Exactly.
It's just like you and I.
Sure.
When we have things to do, we go about it so differently. And for either one of us to force the other into it would not work.
Okay, you're going to get ready early and then do whatever your chores are after. And then I'm going to get up and do all my chores and then get ready after. It wouldn't work, right?
It would not. No. It would not. I would be so mad. It'd be like, it's 7:30 and I have on clothes. I hate you.
You can't force what works on somebody, works for somebody else. But that's not to say that you cannot glean things from other people and be like, okay, well, let me try that and see. Maybe that is the answer. And then you kind of adapt it and you figure out, okay, well, yeah, I like that. That works for me. And then you just make it, work for you. And
sometimes you just cherry pick.
Yeah.
I like this from this and this from this and this. And then I'm going to add this because that's my personality. And that's your structure. And that really works. But I guess the message here is don't try to force yourself into someone else's idea of productivity because that's not going to work for you.
Nope.
So let's talk about, how do you meet deadlines when you have things coming up that you've committed to and there are people counting on you? Right. What do you think is the best way?
Well, what works for me, and it's sort of, I have to block everything out. Like if I have a deadline for training or, something that I've said, hey, this is a big project I've got to get done. I literally have to just say, okay, this is the only thing I can focus on right now. I know the deadline's coming up, but if it's, and I always meet my deadlines. That's not that's never been a real problem or an issue. And I think it's just being organized too. If you don't have it written somewhere or in front of you in a way that you can be aware of it and I like to sort of take little bits and tackle those in advance, like leading up to meeting the deadline. I'm not generally one that just goes, okay, today's the day. I'm going to sit down and figure out what I need to do. Because if I do that, I often find, oh no, I should have done that before. And then I get kind of, then it gets crazy.
Right.
But if I can look at the whole big picture and go, okay, these are some things I can do in advance. Those will be done. And then I can sit down and tackle the big deadline. And then that seems to be a little less stressful for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially when you're doing things that require more time. Like, let's say you need to order supplies.
Exactly.
And, that's 2 days if you can get it from Amazon. And
right.
10 if you have to order it from somewhere far away. And if you wait till the last minute to do that.
That's right.
Because we all have. And you're like, oh,
crap. Exactly. Yeah. And I think growing up too, my mom helped in this because, she would never let projects go until the last minute with school. She's like, she always was on top of what was coming up. And she's like, you're not waiting until the last minute because there's too many things that can happen and unexpected things that could cause you not to be able to get it done.
Right.
Why wait? Just do it and get it finished. And so I'll even try to set my deadline earlier than what the real deadline is, just so that I give myself a buffer and in case. I mean, you don't know what could happen.
Right.
And then what if you can't get it done and you've committed to it and someone's counting on you? So, yeah.
Yeah. You're right.
Or you're just stressing yourself out because it, could be something as simple, like you said, in ordering supplies for a class you're going to be teaching. And then the supplies don't get there in time. That's causing you a lot of stress, going to impact you, your class, your students. So, it's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when Trello boards.
Yay!
For me.
Or having a personal assistant. That would really be helpful. That ain't going to happen anytime soon. So.
I wish that would have been on my Christmas list.
Woohoo!
I could have used one
and then a personal chef. That would be awesome.
Yes. Yes, the list goes on.
Yes, it does.
So let's talk about how do you prevent overworking? Is that part of your personality, overworking?
Yes.
Yeah, it is me too.
Yeah, it is for sure. Yeah. That was a tough one because I think it was 2018. I really took stock into, and I think probably part of it came in when my husband was starting to make comments about, you're working so late. Every night you're in there until you go to bed working. You've been there all day. Come out here and watch TV or let's go do something. And it'd be like, wow, I really am spending all my time in here working. And a lot of it is I love what I do. I love my work. I love creating. But I just was taking on too much. Only one person can only handle so many things.
Right.
And that's when I really had to take a look at things and go, some things have got to be kind of cut off. They have to be removed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's
balance.
Yeah. And it's not easy to do.
No.
Because then you find yourself, I don't want to fill back up that time with more things. I've let those things go to give myself time. And so I'm always aware of that now. I've been doing pretty good about going, okay, hold on. You don't want to work all of these hours. How much do you want to work? How much do you want to, and I know we're talking about this from the work perspective because, we both run a business, but, I think the same thing can be said for your hobbies too.
Yeah.
I mean,
and just your life in general.
Yeah, absolutely, where it's, I don't know if you ever truly reach the balance of things. I think it kind of goes and it's like a roller coaster, but I think that I can tell when I'm doing too much because I'm agitated, I'm short-tempered, I'm frustrated,
I'm just tired.
And tired, yeah.
And I'm cranky when I'm tired. I just am.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
When you're getting the side eye from your husband, it's like really, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm there now.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have reached the summit of crankiness.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that people that are very goal oriented, we put too much pressure, too many expectations on ourselves, and sometimes we're not kind to ourselves. And I think that's really important, and that's something that I think we as creatives and we as bosses of ourselves, the word self has to be really, really important to us. Self-care, self-awareness. Self-kindness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not always easy.
It's not.
And I know you're often when we talk about different things, you tend to use the term, you have some grace with yourself, give yourself, some grace because, right. I think we just, as you said, goal oriented and doing and I think especially as creatives, it's like there's just that constant flow of needing to create and doing and it's like, if you're not, you kind of feel like maybe you're not living up to your potential or you're not doing all you can and I've talked to you about this before. It's sort of like, well, if I take too much time and I don't work as much, then what if I lose it? Like, what if I can't get it back? What if I like the downtime and the self-care too much that I don't get back to the doing? And that's always kind of an underlying thing I feel at times. Yeah.
But that's never happened.
No. I'm kind of feeling it right now, but I know it will pass.
It will pass.
I think I'm just tired.
Yeah. Well, we talked about this, about transitions.
Yeah.
And transitions can, for me, the older I get, the harder they are.
Tell them what you mean by a transition.
Transitions. For me, I spent Christmas in 2 different places, in Florida and in North Carolina. I loved them both. I wanted to do them both. But transitioning for me from one place to the other is getting harder and harder and harder. It's harder to leave. When I'm in North Carolina, it's my favorite place in the world. I love it. And when it's time to leave, it's very difficult. And for me, that sitting in the car for 9 hours and now I'm back in Florida. I'm leaving cold, going to warm. Different houses, different views, different expectations. Yeah. When I'm in North Carolina, there is no schedule.
Right.
And when I'm here, it's all schedule.
Yeah.
So transitioning back and forth is very difficult. And maybe it's, transitioning from being a mom into being a business person. You have to continually switch those hats.
True.
Feed the baby, feed the kids, get the kids to soccer, and then business. So transitioning, for me, I think that can be hard.
Yeah, and I hadn't really thought much about that until we were talking about it the other day, and I thought, you know what, you're right. And even the transition of going through the holidays and all of that into now, boom, it all stops and we're in January now. And it's sort of like, and there's all kinds of different transitions. But I mean, yours definitely is an extreme because you're literally physically moving somewhere and then physically moving back. But yeah, I mean, coming off an illness, you've transitioned from being ill now to, okay, I'm trying to get healthy. And those are all things I think that affect us,
right?
All in different ways, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that that is something that we can really struggle with and something that we try to get better at, but it can be a real challenge. Yeah. Even like we talked about caregiving or for me, care managing.
Yep.
Transitioning back and forth. What's best for me? What's best for the person I'm taking care of?
Right.
And where does that line?
Sure.
Where is that line? Yeah, it can be difficult.
Yeah.
So how do you make yourself accountable? So what is the bottom line here for us? And mine, like we talked about, is scheduling and lists of things that I know that work for me.
Right.
So you do the things you know that work. You can try different things and see how they fit in. But also, if there is that one thing that we're having a really hard time getting to, what do you think the answer is, Roben-Marie?
You shouldn't have said yes to it. It's not a good fit.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, it's like, if there's a constant procrastination and putting off and putting off and putting off, you're like, for me, it'd be like how I feel about unloading the dishwasher. I mean, like literally, I hate that.
I do too.
I mean, I really detest it. And I think part of it, this is going to sound really goofy, but we share all kinds of stuff on this podcast. But it's like, first of all, it's too loud. I don't like the noise of all the dishes clanging as they're, you pull all the plates out and they're clanging. But it's the fact that they don't always dry. And so there's water on them and then they drip on my feet and I can't stand that. And it's like.
That's because we're in Florida and we're barefoot.
That's right.
So it's literally dripping on our feet.
Exactly. I just don't like unloading the dishwasher.
Well, for me, I don't enjoy it either because it's like a waste of time.
Yeah, just take them out as you need them.
Well, that doesn't work for me. But, you go to the sink and you look in the sink for me, and there's dirty dishes, and you're like, I'm just going to whip these up. It'll take 3 minutes. And you open the dishwasher, and it's full of clean dishes that need to be put away. And you're like, dang it!
Yeah, no, I'm with you. That's the worst.
Yeah,
I hate it.
I have $20. Somebody come and
look.
I
know it. I know. But I think it is, it's, think of that one thing that you constantly are avoiding, that you don't like to do. Now, granted, we have to unload our dishwasher.
Right.
I mean, we can't avoid that.
I put on a podcast. That's how I get through it.
There you go. Find something to kind of occupy your mind while it's like, folding laundry. I hate to fold laundry too.
I love folding laundry.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. I'll often send her pictures of the laundry all piled up on my sofa, and it's just sort of a joke that we do that.
Right.
We do that. But
and I'll be
right over because I know she likes to fold laundry, but it's okay. Well, can I watch some TV while I'm doing it? Like you said, a podcast. What can I do? Music. So
call a friend.
Yeah.
How can you distract
Call
yourself?
my mom while I'm folding laundry.
Right.
Things like that. But we joke because those are real things in our lives, and you can think of something too. Everybody that's listening can think of something. Mm-hmm. But what if it's that project that you thought, oh my gosh, this is a great opportunity, I have to do this. Mm-hmm. And then you say yes, and then you realize as you start getting closer to whatever it is that you're like, oh boy, I'm putting this off, and I'm finding that it's harder and harder for me to remain accountable to this person in this deadline, and that's a little different. Mm-hmm. If you feel that way, maybe
there's a lesson there.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. You said yes to something you should have said no to. And if you can figure out why you said yes, which is usually, that's easy. You wanted to be helpful and please someone, and you put others before yourself. And then figure out why is this such a bad fit for me? Mm-hmm. What is it in this that doesn't work? So that you recognize that next time it comes.
That's right.
And you can automatically go, oh, there it is.
Yep. Yeah. And that takes practice too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the easiest thing, because Sandy and I both have had those times many times where we've said yes to some things we shouldn't have said yes to.
Absolutely.
Now, back in episode 9 in season 1, we had an episode called the 24-hour rule, which was a popular episode.
Our favorite.
And we talked about this at length, and going really into advice and tips about analyzing opportunities and how to say no gracefully when it was appropriate to do so. So Sandy recommends that you maybe check that out. Episode 9 was a really good one.
It was a good one.
That kind of talks on this subject a little bit too. So I want to throw this in. Do you use rewards? Is that something that you use to kind of help yourself get things done?
Every single day.
All right, give me an example.
Yes.
How does that work?
I am the queen of rewards. Mm-hmm.
Tell our listeners. I know you. I know what you do.
I'm like, really? Is she asking me that? She knows I do. Yes. I will set up a reward. Like, if I do this, if I empty the dishwasher, or if I go work for 30 minutes on this project that I had no business saying yes to, and I did, and now I don't want to do it, then I get. And then there's, I choose from, a list of things that are really pleasant to me. Yeah. It could be something simple as I get 15 minutes in my big comfy chair with my Kindle, and I get to read, a chapter, or I can go take a bubble bath, or whatever, or that thing that's in my Amazon cart. Oh, I get to check out, send it to me. Yes, yeah. I love to reward myself because I work really well that way. What about you?
No.
Rewards don't work for you.
They don't work for me. Because if I want to go take the bubble bath, I'll just go do it, and I won't do whatever I need to do. Oh, that's terrible, but I am confessing. Yeah, so they just don't.
What does work for you? If rewards don't, then what does?
I think I get a lot of reward, I think, just out of the fact that I've completed it, that I feel like, I've done this. I don't know why rewards just don't work that well for me. I've tried it, I'll be like, oh, well, but then I'll be like, well, if I want to read my Kindle, I'm just going to go read it. You know what I'm saying? And I know that I don't know.
So yours is about timing.
Yeah, I think so.
You do things when it's the right time for you.
Yep.
And I do things and then reward myself, and that makes it the right time for me. You know, it's good enough.
Yeah.
That's how I get through things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, rewards.
Okay. Yeah.
Rewards versus timing. Both
there you
really
go.
good options.
Yeah.
And maybe,
I like that.
Maybe there are some listeners that are saying, hey, I'm going to try that. I'm going to try both of them and see which one works for me. Or maybe they have their own thing that works, and we would love to hear what it is.
Absolutely.
Tell us.
Yeah.
Is it writing something on a list and then crossing it off? We'd like to know. I can't be the only one. I know I'm not. I know
you're not the only one who does that.
I hear this too much.
It reminds me back of the old, back in the day, it was Franklin Covey, and then it was Covey, I don't know what it was, or I don't remember. It was Franklin Planners, then it was Franklin Covey or whatever, where it was very much that, where it was, crossing off and then moving and the priority thing. Yeah. Yeah. So good talk.
Yeah. Do you feel a little more motivated?
I'm tired.
I'm going to go get a reward.
Oh, my goodness. All right. We appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for listening.
Take care. Thank you for listening to this episode of Creatives Get Real.
We love hearing from you. So hop on over to Instagram and leave us a comment. And we also appreciate reviews on iTunes.
And you can find me, Sandi Keene, at sandykeene.com, and my classes at popupartclasses.com.
And you can find me, Roben-Marie Smith, at robenmarie.com. And if you're looking for and need tech support, check out my membership site, makerstechu.com.